That person that you're spending all of your time thinking about is not thinking about you. Hey, it's me, it's Dee. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've already subscribed. If you have, then you know that on this channel, you get to follow me around in my adventures of attempting to adult. Anyway, today's Thursday, and that means that we're going to be delving back into my college life. Today's topic, things that I wish I knew freshman year. If these are things that seem interesting to you, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. I love it when you all do. It makes me very happy, and it also helps out my channel because more people get to know about it. Also, quick question, if I forget to tell you all about that, do you forget to do it? Because I don't think I ever tell people to do that on my channel, and I'm wondering if that may have some correlations. I guess we'll see. This will be the tester video. Before I get started, I want to say that I am not necessarily sorry, but my heart goes out to those freshmen who will be starting this year, 2020, because we have no idea what in the world is going to be happening with going to your actual campuses, if you'll have to stay home, how classes will be structured, how any of that's going to work. And it's a mess, especially since like starting college is a huge milestone, just like graduating college was a huge milestone for me. And so I hope that everything works out, but just know that even if you don't get to go to campus immediately, that you'll eventually be able to go back onto campus, and it's a great time. Anyway, let's get into what this video is actually about. Let's hit it. Okay, so some of these tips are going to be a little bit more general, but a lot of them are going to be kind of pertinent to me and my situation. We'll get more into my situation as the series goes on. So some of these things that you're like, I don't know if I can really relate to that, that's fine. Everyone doesn't relate to everything, and I'm not offended at all. So the first one that I would like to say is that this one is kind of generic, but these are going to be the best and the worst years of your life. Or maybe if you're going to a specific type of school, because I have seen a tweet, I saw a tweet the other day that was like, I don't know why these high school teachers were lying to us. Most of my college classes have been easier than AP, and I'm like, girl, what? I must have been cheated out of that, or I majored in the wrong thing, because I do not relate at all. That probably goes into some of the worst parts of this, because it was a challenge. Like, I was a chemical engineering major. I was at Vanderbilt University, which is top 14 or 15 right now, I forget. But it was extremely strenuous most of the time, and that definitely had an impact on my mental health. I was also away from family, and I was in a new location, and I traveled, and I did a lot of really cool things, but it was definitely draining and took a toll like on my mental health, which we've talked about before. However, I met some of the most amazing people during my 4 years at college, and not only that, I got to do so many amazing things, such as travel. I partied a lot. Like, Vanderbilt is a work hard, play hard school. Work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work. And there is no one that will tell you any different. If they do, I don't know what they were doing. I really don't. Again, best, worst times of your life. You just have to figure out the best balance for you. Speaking of balance, y'all, I am an ambivert, but I definitely lean more so on the extroverted side. And because of that, the next thing that I wish that I had known as a freshman is that I needed to take some time for myself. I love spending time with people, be it one person or 100 people. I like being around people most of the time. This got a little bit better the further along that I went in my career, but I wanted to spend all of my time with people so that I wouldn't miss out on anything. And even like when I studied, I was around people. And depending on what I was studying, that was not the best idea. And I will admit that me being extroverted definitely helped a lot in my college career, because within the first week, I made a goal that I was going to know and learn 100 people's names. And I did it, which was great. However, that was definitely a catalyst for me constantly being surrounded by people And even in my freshman year, I'm not freshman year, in my senior year, if I would sit at a booth like in the main dining hall, Rand, I would be sitting there just trying to study, and I would be stopped by at least 15 people during the 3-hour span that I was sitting there. Just people would come by and say hi and everything, and that was great. But I would have done a lot better at studying had I gone somewhere quiet, away from people. And also just on the weekend, spending time with myself and enjoying me. That was something that I did not do often, and I still have a problem doing at times because you get lonely. It's very important to be able to work with that. And I'm gonna have a video on that later on, so don't worry about that too much right now. Okay? Okay. So this next one, I actually still struggle with this one, but if I'd realized this sooner, I honestly would have had way more opportunities than I did. And not to say that there was anything wrong with the ones that I had. There are just some that I was like, why didn't I do that? And that's why, the reason why I didn't do it is because I didn't apply for it. Specifically because I thought, okay, what was I saying? Anyway, this next tip is to apply for it, do it, or go for it if you want to. And if it's not for you, you just won't get it, like, period. There are a lot of things that I probably would have gotten that I didn't apply for because I was like, well, I have enough things. I'm doing enough right now, even though it was something I really wanted to do. And the prime example that I'm thinking of is that there was this scholarship that I was like, I don't really need that scholarship. My tuition and everything is already going to be covered because of all the other scholarships that I already have. But the key difference with this scholarship and some of the other ones that I already had was that it also had an enrichment educational component similar to the scholarship that I actually did apply to, which was the UNCF Koch scholarship. And this scholarship, it was actually in its first year of being a thing, so there weren't like reviews or anything, so there's no way that I would have known how it was going to work. But some of the people that actually were in that scholarship, it's called the UNCF STEM scholarship, if you're wondering. I think that's the correct title, I don't know. But they had very similar experiences to what we did with Koch, except they did them within the STEM field instead of the business field. And I honestly wish that I had applied to that too, because the people that I know who were in that program were also in the Koch program. So I could have done both, and it wouldn't have hurt me or anyone else any, because I had a scholarship from the school as well, and the school would have just like taken some of the money off of that and given it to someone else. Therefore, more people would have still been able to use that money. So it wasn't like me applying for that would have taken from someone else, but that's how I felt at that time. And other people might have other ideas and opinions about this, and the first thing that I can think of when I think about this is affirmative action, and we're not going to get into that in this video, although I have a lot of opinions on people's opinions. This next one, I guess this kind of goes into the spending time alone, but y'all, come a little, actually, I'm going to come closer to you. Are you ready? Are you ready for this one? That person that you're spending all of your time thinking about is not thinking about you. And what I mean by this is that there are so many people, and boys do this too, but especially girls, who spend a lot of time idealizing and romanticizing about relationships. And this is definitely some people's just personality. This is just how they are, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they spend all of their time obsessing about boys or girls, depending on what they like. But it's just a lot. I've had multiple friends over the years, especially, this was so much worse like in middle school, who obsessed over guys so much that it like physically stopped them from being able to do things that I don't think that's necessarily healthy. Like, yes, I think that you should date and you should get out and meet new people, but just know that you're a freshman in college, and although there are definitely college relationships that work out, a lot of college relationships don't last past college. And even more than that, a lot of freshman relationships don't last past freshman year. So listen, sis, just don't stress out. Just don't stress out. If it works out, it works out, but calm down, okay? Okay, guys, so this one goes back into some of those things that could be more general advice. And that is that if you manage your time better, you can have more fun. Because I spent so much time like talking to people and stuff. Like I said, I would sit in the area where I knew that everyone would come and talk to me while I should have been studying. And because of that, I had more work that I needed to get done for the following week to do over the weekend. And because of that, there were things that I could not do and events that I could not go to because I did not do that work ahead of time. Instead, I procrastinated. And if you all watched my last video, I have a low level of saturation that I can get to before I'm overwhelmed, and so procrastination does not work for me. And because of that, I got to go to fewer events during the week and fewer parties and stuff on the weekend. So manage your time better, get your work done in advance, and then you can have more fun. I'm just saying, this is why you should study alone sometimes. Another thing is that you should say yes to things, because there are a lot of things that I said no to because of the work. But again, if I had done it ahead of time, would have been fine. But say yes to things and then follow through, because I would say yes to things and then I would realize that I was overwhelmed because of my procrastination, and then I would back out of things, and then I didn't meet new people. There are organizations that I didn't get to be a part of or be active in their events because I was doing other things, specifically schoolwork. And obviously you need to focus on your schoolwork, but there's just a balance. I feel like that's what you're going to get a lot out of this video in particular, that you need to work on balance between those two things, because like I said, Vanderbilt's a work hard, play hard school, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with that. This is another one that this one actually applies to everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. You need to call your mom more. And maybe it's not your mom, maybe it's your dad or your aunt or your uncle or your grandparents or whoever is your primary guardian who you relied on while you were in high school. You need to call them more because 1, they care. 2, they usually have information that your peers aren't going to have about a specific situation. And also, they've known you for most of your life, and they know your mannerisms and they know how you react to certain things, and so they may be able to give you insight on yourself in a particular situation that you didn't know or that you didn't think of. And this would have helped me so much, because there were a lot of things that happened my freshman year that I did not know how to deal with on my own, and my friends didn't know how to deal with. There were multiple deaths in my family, as well as in different friend groups, and other things that I just didn't need to be dealing with on my own, because at that point I also wasn't going to therapy. And so if I called my mom and just kind of blabbed all of my worries and frustrations and information out to her, it would have been a lot more helpful. And also, she wants to know about my day, and your parents / guardians also most likely want to know about your day. And so give them a call, because your support system back home lasts for longer than your support system in college, just because family is kind of always there. Again, this one's more related to me, but girl, you got a disability, you have a learning disability, and therefore you need to not be so hard on yourself. Because I, as I said in my last video, did not do well my first semester freshman year because I could not finish tests. I had a really hard time finishing homework sometimes, and at that point I wasn't entirely used to going to office hours, and because of that I had a really rough time at academics and balancing everything, because I didn't realize that the reason why I was doing so poorly was because I actually, there was something inhibiting me and not entirely stopping, but making it harder for me to do the things that I was trying to do. And I was then instead blaming it all on myself, which was not the best thing to do. It created a very negative mindset in that way. And had I known about my learning disability earlier, or even before college, it would have gone a lot better, and my GPA probably would have been a lot higher, and even now would have been a lot higher. Listen, this one, I did not write it down, but I just want to say this because I feel like there's such a big taboo about Oh my God, I gotta sneeze. What was that? I feel like there's such a big taboo around retaking classes, which is ridiculous because if you need to, everyone is not on the same learning curve, one. And two, if you need to retake a class, you just got to retake the class. Like there's, even if you didn't fail the class, maybe you just didn't do as well as you wanted to, or whatever it is. You just got to do it, sis. I retook, retook one of the early calcs. And girl, when I tell you that my GPA rose so much because I went from like a C minus to B plus or A minus, I forget which one it was, and the difference was astounding. And so there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel that I will admit, it is definitely much harder for those of us who are in low income families because you can't, or at least at Vanderbilt, you can't get financial aid for summer classes, especially if you're just retaking them and you didn't fail the class specifically. If you failed the class, you need it to be able to graduate on time. That's a different story. But if you just want to retake the class because you want a higher grade, they're not going to pay for it. And because of that, that means that you will most likely want to or need to retake the class during the year, which can mess up your schedule, which is really, really, really annoying, especially if you're in a very streamlined degree like I was, where they only offer certain classes once a year. So annoying. The reason why I say this is because in that case, you really cannot compare yourself to your peers at an institution like Vanderbilt or Harvard or whatever, who can pay to take their classes over the summer and not have it be a significant financial burden, because it just might not be a realistic, and there is no reason for you to go into debt because you need to retake a specific class if you don't already have like loans and stuff out. And then again, you also don't need to take out more loans just to retake a class. Although sometimes you do if you want to be able to graduate on time, and it's just very complicated, and it's a situational issue, and I just wish that more people understood that, because a lot of people don't know when people are taking classes, like during the summer especially, and because of that it can feel like your peers are light years ahead of you, or that their GPAs are so much better than yours because they were able to retake classes. And that is a classist issue that happens in a lot of higher ed, specifically the more elite higher ed places, although obviously anyone who has money at any school would be able to do this more easily, but I feel like it's a lot more common, and the negative emotions associated with doing poorly is a lot more common at the like top 20 schools and stuff, just because of the competitive nature of the schools. So this next one is that, girl, you stuck up. You'll get over it, but just know you are stuck up. And maybe this one doesn't apply to you, but it definitely applied to me, because I had I don't think I ever had a negative attitude, but I thought that I knew everything. I thought that going to specific types of schools made you so much better than other people, and all of these other things, and that I didn't want to be associated with people who would go to a school in their hometown, or to community college, and all of that other stuff. And girl, that is such a toxic mentality. Like, why? Why would you think that? And I'm not saying that I got over it immediately. Like, it took a couple of semesters and interacting with other people and interacting with people at other schools that's one of the reasons why I'm so thankful that I was able to have a scholarship where I did those extracurricular activities outside of my own school, because I got to meet people from other schools that I wouldn't have been able to meet had I not been in that scholarship program. And so I met people at HBCUs, I met people who went to other schools and other places, literally from all across the country. That was so impactful because it made me realize that my thought process was stupid. Like, I was smart, but I was stupid. And that can be something that's really difficult to break. We can talk about that one more if you all want, because I feel like there's definitely a huge misconception with how quality of education works. And I just think that we need to set the record straight on some of that, because there are some really harmful stereotypes out there, and a lot of that gets fed to you when you're in high school, as you are looking for more school, as you were looking for more colleges. Basically, I had a lot of growing up to do, essentially. Y'all are gonna laugh at this one because my roommate horror story is my most watched video on this channel. Like, literally, it has like 300 times, or 3,000 almost for some, 300 times more views than most of the videos on this channel. And I guess it's because it's like a gossip story time thing. And the real reason why I'm laughing is because I wrote, be more patient with your housing. Because the reason why I ended up in that situation is because I was nervous about being paired with some random people that I didn't know, which technically I still did because I did not know them. But the reason why I thought that would be okay is because I had a friend who actually mentioned that this roommate opportunity was a thing. And I was like, okay, well, if she's telling me, then it must be okay. They can't be awful people. Not realizing that she didn't necessarily know them. And I really should have done more of my research on that and been more patient, because TBH, I probably would have got a single if I just waited. I got a single anyway, but yeah. Just be patient with the housing process, and who knows, this might not even be something that you have to worry about, because some colleges are talking about people might not even be able to have roommates, which I don't know how that's going to work at some of these schools because they don't have enough rooms as is, but that's a different point. Oh my god, wait, is that the last one? Oh god, it's the last one, but it's directly related to the one before this. And that is, girl, you are not going to get along with everyone. Like, you're just not. It's not gonna happen. I don't care how nice you are or how cute you are or how great you think you are. You're not gonna get along with everyone. And I thought that, honestly, like, I get along with most people. But it was, and even, listen guys, even after my roommate issue, I was still like, I can get along with anyone. It was just those people. I was like, okay, well, that's still part of the whole that everyone is, but okay, if you say so. Okay, go off. But y'all, literally up until this year, I still thought that I could get along with basically anyone. And I think that I can get along with most people, but I was really frustrated with myself and with a couple of people this past year, because I was like, oh, why are you doing this? Like, I have literally done nothing to you, and I don't have time to be dealing with your bullshit. And that just honestly made me realize that some people just don't want to get along. They just don't. Who knows, maybe I was in the wrong in the situation, but I polled multiple people who were one inside of the situation and also who were outside of the situation that I also didn't know as well, and then also my friends who would tell me how it is. And let's just say that they agreed with me. That might be a story time for another day. But that is all that I have for the things that I wish that I knew freshman year. I'm sure there are more things that I wish that I knew freshman year, but those are the ones that I wrote down, and those are the ones that have stuck out the most to me. If I think of any more, maybe I'll tweet them. Don't look me up on Twitter, I promise you. It's a mess. Just don't do that. But comment down below which ones you thought were the most interesting, which ones did you relate the most to, and what are some things that you wish you knew when you were a freshman. Either way, guys, I will see you next time. Bye!